Okay, so a lot of people who watch my videos really want to know how to get into software engineering or programming or CS. They want to know whether they should go to a boot camp or university or if they should self-teach. Like, what are these big tech companies looking for? So that inspired me to answer the question of what is even in a computer science degree, or like what is in a college degree at all. I went to college, surprisingly. Speaking of which, for those who are new to the channel, I actually tend to use my college degree in my videos as a prop a lot because it's the only thing that it's useful for. I never got a frame or anything. Can't even get it out. There it is, right there. Boom, we did it. Yay. But yeah, I studied computer science at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Here I've pulled up my actual college transcript, and I was just thinking that we could go down the list class by class and see what went down. I was actually partly inspired to do this video by another YouTuber, Devin Crawford, who made a video called 3 years of programming in 8 minutes. So I guess we should call this my whole computer science degree in 5 minutes. I have no idea how long this is supposed to take. Okay, so fall of 2010 was my freshman semester of college. I had just moved from Gainesville, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia for school, and I was super nervous about moving to a new city where I didn't know anybody, and I also didn't know how many classes I was supposed to take for my first semester of college, and I needed to maintain over 3.0 GPA to keep some scholarships that were making school affordable for me. So first things first, I took CS 1301, Intro to Computing. It was a class that taught you how to program in Python with these little robots called scribblers. For my final project, I made a script that would scrape lyrics off of online lyrics websites, and I just found this like PowerPoint that I presented for it, and it's a little cringeworthy. Like, why would you use this photo in class? Humble bragging about a YouTube video. No idea what this means. Really bad at selling my arguments here. It's cool being the #1 reason that I did this. And #2 reason is lyrics. And then I rickrolled the class. I think that about sums up my freshman year. I also took Calculus 1 this semester, and I remember going to the auditorium, like the classroom on the first day of school, it being completely full, having to sit in the back, and I could really only make out like this very tiny figure in the front of the auditorium who was the professor. He insisted on not using a microphone or an overhead projector, and he was just like writing in chalk on the chalkboard. So I immediately dropped the class and got a different professor. Freshman Leap seminar. This was just like a, I don't know, intro to your career as a CS student seminar where they made us make our first resumes and go to the career fair. You can see that resume in my resume video that I made a while back. And finally, this semester I took Chemistry 1. So my degree required me to take a lab science, and I had completely forgotten that chemistry was my least favorite of the sciences, and so I got a C, which left me with a 2.9 GPA, which meant that I no longer qualified for my scholarships and nearly wasn't able to pay for school. So that was fun. Constructing proofs. This was a discrete math class. I still don't really know what discrete math means. Discrete mathematics is the study of mathematical structures that are fundamentally discrete. So next was like the second programming class, Intro to Object-Oriented Programming. In reality, it was like Intro to Java. This class was fine. I actually ended up TAing for it. We got English 2. My class was on cyberpunk, so we just read like Neuromancer and stuff. It was chill. Japanese 1. This class was a lot of work, and the professor was like comically mean. Like, he was super strict and terrifying because he would make fun of students who didn't get the right answers when he called on them. All right, class, I just finished grading your quizzes, and it's clear to me that you're all very bad at Japanese, and I'm very good. Yeah, aren't you the professor? Shut up, Derek. Son, in today's lesson, we're gonna be identifying objects from afar by answering the question, "Are wa nan desu ka?" For example, if I was answering this question and there was a cat over there, I might say, "Are wa neko desu." See? This is very easy. Have I mentioned I'm good at Japanese? All right, Eren-san, let's start with you. "Are wa nan desu ka?" Are wa, denwa desu? So desu ne. All right, Takahashi-san, "Are wa nan desu ka?" Are wa mado desu. So desu ne. Maybe you guys aren't stupid. How about you, Johnson-san? Are wa nan desu ka? Are wa denwa ni Neko des? Denwo desu ka? Oh, a moshi moshi. Get it, everyone? Because it's a phone. It's a cat phone.
Wow,
He's laughing.
bad.
He's
He's dumb, yeah.
So I just switched to Spanish. I also took Calculus 2 this semester, which is infamous for being so difficult that the professors were referred to as the Four Horsemen. You know, like from the apocalypse. I know what you're thinking. Summer 2011, Jarvis, you probably just, had some fun in the sun, maybe studied abroad with some friends. No, I was so terrified of not getting a job that I took a ton of CS classes. Don't do this, people. Save yourself. Enjoy your summer. Anyway, that summer I took Data Structures and Algorithms, aka the class that every technical interview pulls from. I also ended up TAing for this class for obvious reasons. Then there's Computer Organization and Programming, which is the class that starts to explain how computers actually work, going from digital logic up to assembly language and ultimately to C. It was a pretty cool class, even though it was really hard because we got to make games for the Game Boy Advance. This is my Pokemon themed rock, paper, scissors game that I made for the Game Boy Advance, where you can challenge your friend to a rock, paper, scissors Pokemon battle. Moving on. Next up is Intro to Database Systems, a whole class about databases and how to model and structure your data for efficient storage and retrieval. It's as dry as it sounds. Social psychology. This is probably my favorite class that summer. I probably would have studied psychology in college if it weren't for all the reading. Then came fall 2011 when all of my friends came back from their summer vacations and their internships and their study abroads, and they were just all super well rested. And I was there too. So we got systems and networks, where we learned about more low-level programming stuff, like a simple processor out of logic gates. I get PTSD just looking at this. Then there was objects and design, a class about design patterns. And design patterns are ways to structure and organize code to support large applications or multiple people working on the same project, which would have been one of the most relevant and important classes that I took in my undergrad if I didn't not realize the value and just completely blow it off. It's like I got a good grade because these are like project-based classes, and I did the project, but I didn't learn what I was supposed to learn, Next was a free A for being a teaching assistant, so that was nice. And to continue to pad my GPA, I switched over to taking Spanish instead of Japanese, despite the fact that I took 4 years of Spanish in high school, because at that point I literally couldn't afford to have my GPA drop like it did my first semester. And finally this semester, Calc 3, where I failed the first test so bad that I dropped the class. So by the spring of my sophomore year, I wasn't confident in my technical skills, so I just kept taking all of my CS classes ahead of any of my other degree requirements, to the point where this semester I took senior design as a sophomore. Don't do that. So we've got computer networking, or how computers talk to each other, the class. Design and analysis of algorithms, harder algorithms than before, the ones that we, to this day, don't have fast solutions to. Intro to artificial intelligence, aka you can teach computers to do what? Senior design, where we made a web application and I barely contributed. Sorry guys, but Spanish, I crushed it at the Spanish that I already knew. And Calc 3, this time, it's for real. Better watch out. No, I dropped it again. This summer, I did my internship at Google. Nothing was the same. I made videos about this. But I came back in the fall with an elitist pep in my step. Took a C++ class that I didn't need. Took cognitive science, which was like a psychology class with a focus on the brain, but also computers. Applied combinatorics, which is like algorithms and probability had a baby, and that baby hated my guts. And then Calc 3, third time's the charm. Through some miracle of God, I passed it this time. The next semester, I took Languages and Computation, a class about finite state automata. It wasn't fun, but it kind of taught us about compilers. And I took a grad class on database systems, where I read a lot of white papers about how Google and other big companies solve data problems. That was actually kind of cool. The professor was a badass. Speaking of badass professors, machine learning, how computers learn things. Remember that Logan Paul video? that's where I learned all the stuff for that video. The professor was really amazing, Charles Isbell, check him out. It was graded on the most intense curve I've ever seen in my life, where I got a 64 out of 120 on the first exam, and that was an A. And intro physics. Summer of 2013, decided not to go back to Google. Instead, I did an internship at Yelp. At the end of that summer, I got an offer to return as a full-time employee after I graduated, which was like over a year away. So I had senioritis big time. All right, the final stretch. I'm back and I'm gonna finish taking all those non-CS classes that I had been putting off, like health, where I learned about how to be healthy and stuff. Computer vision, which is how computers see. The final project was tracking Mitt Romney's face in footage from the 2012 presidential debate. Simpler times. Statistics and applications. This was our probability and statistics class, which I've like taken so many classes on this material and I am still so bad at it. And finally, physics 2, because we had to complete one sequence of 2 lab sciences for graduation, and Lord knows I was not taking chemistry ever again. So at this point, I was done with all my graduation requirements except for one class, which is on purpose. I'll explain. When I was a freshman and I took summer classes and all my friends studied abroad in Barcelona specifically, I was like, I want to do that and I don't know when I'm going to do it. So once I accepted my full-time offer, I was like, the summer before I start work, I'm just going to go study abroad, which meant I had all this time to kill until summer 2014. So this semester I just kind of goofed off. I was working part-time for Yelp, and with the rest of the time I was just like resting and biding my time until summer 2014 when I went to Barcelona, or Barcelona if you're annoying. Took an architecture class where I learned about the city of Barcelona and how it developed. I took a class on computational photography where I learned how Photoshop works and even a bit of how like Snapchat filters and things work. It's also where I learned to morph faces in photos and make this horrifying photo of me and Mayuko. And finally, the class that I've been putting off for 3 years for this very purpose, computing ethics. I think everybody should take an ethics class. We talked about things like who's at fault in the event of a self-driving car accident, which has become a real thing. And I did a final presentation on patent law and why Raichu shouldn't exist. I was really bad at presentations in college. So after that semester, I moved to San Francisco, like directly from Barcelona to San Francisco, and I started work. Boom, we're done. You did it. You graduated. Good job. Thanks for watching this video. Everybody's journey is different, but I hope this helped someone out there. If you did like this video and you want to subscribe, maybe watch a few more videos on my channel before you decide. I don't know if this is the kind of video I'll be making very often. Thanks to Shagik G for turning on notifications. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. If you want me to confidently butcher your name next time, turn on notifications and leave a comment on this video. Anyway, see ya.